Saturday. A father's love.
She's been missing for almost 2 weeks.
Look out! Means a deadly turn for the finder of lost gloves.
Trying to kill me!
What? Saturday.
Well, Andy Hawkins is the new pitcher for the San Diego Padres. The problem is Dick Williams wanted to use his bullpen, but not exactly in this fashion. He really hasn't had a chance to get to Craig Lefferts or to Goose Gossage, a key if the Padres expect to win. Now let's go back up to the booth. The Don Drysdale.
All right, Jimmy, thank you very much. And I'm sure he didn't want Hawkins to have to come in this order because he might have to get somebody loose should they get something going in the 5th inning. As you look at Thurman in the dugout as Gary Matthews stands in. He was hoping he could get out number 3 and take his chances from there, I believe. Don't you, Earl?
Yes, I do. I know that's true. Now, we have a fellow on the mound here who throws the ball 90 miles an hour, a fellow that Williams would have liked to use later. Doesn't have much of a curveball. He's got a good slider. The rap against him is he tries to be too fine.
This is up high. The count 1-0. Matthews has bounced it short twice. So you've got Sandberg at second to run in. And the Cubs on top 4-1. We're in the bottom of the 4th.
Gary Matthews, another fellow at the plate, can get you that 2-out hit with a man in scoring position.
2-0, and don't think this man is not a cripple hitter.
He's got 19 game-winning hits.
Yes, sir. And he's up on the count 2-0.
Well, right now he'll be looking for a ball to drive. This is with the situation that hitters love.
Oh.
Swinging for pay dirt.
Well, there was strength against strength there.
I felt that breeze up here. 2-1 the count.
There's a good full cut. You see it close up, but he was going for it right there.
That's when somebody in your dugout will yell at you, unbutton that top button and take a good swing now.
Well, everybody knew it was coming.
Yeah. A little bit low. The count goes to 3-1 with Keith Moreland on deck. That's not Euchre, I know that.
He got it off in a hurry.
Up high.
Hawkins is going to have to challenge somebody.
He's got to go after him right now, like you say, Earl, because right now, again, I know I keep saying it, but the Padres have to stop this emotional game right now that the Cubs are playing. They're doing exceptionally well.
Right there, since the All-Star break, and all 3 of those men are coming up. Moreland, Say, and Davis.
They've got to shut them off right now, or it does not look good for the Padres for sure.
The strike to Moreland. And we'll be coming your way once again tomorrow night. Game number 3 from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. High to right. Up in the breeze. Gwynn is there. Out number 3. So they get out of the inning cheaply enough. They pick up a run on 2 hits, and we're through 4 from Wrigley Field. It is 4-1. The Cubs on top. Well, you see one of the gentlemen in the scoreboard here at Wrigley Field. That's the only manually operated one in the majors, built in 1937. There's only one entrance. There's 3 levels. There you see the flags on top that'll tell you which way the wind's blowing. It's blowing in. The scores, they get them via the ticker tape machine. They go inning by inning. Of all the games, of course, there's only one right here that they're interested in. The scoreboard numbers are all metal. There's Roger O'Connor out there, Art Sigel, Sam Bongiorno. Together they have more than 60 years experience in that scoreboard as Terry Kennedy takes a strike. 0-1 the count.
And getting back to that scoreboard, you remember when the visiting teams used to think that they caught catcher signs from out there?
Yes, sir. You know, they used to have 2 cameras in that little shed out there. One was for the home telecast, one's for a videotape machine that they used to have set up, that little house out there where we have our camera situated. But they used to have the one camera went to the videotape machine to where they could take it from the hitters at home plate. That was an in-house camera, and they could sit there and see all the signs.
Closed circuit, get the signs.
That's the left field, slicing away from Matthews to the line to make the catch. Look out, Gary.
Seems like every fly ball is a battle out there for Gary Matthews, but believe me, he hauls them all down. There you see him taking a beat on it, not taking his eye off it for 1 second. He doesn't care where he ends up. I've got the out, and that's all he cares about.
Right up against the wall.
Well, the big thing about that ball coming off of the bat of the left-hand hitter, it's going to be slicing on you anyway. The wind's blowing that way. That's going to take it even further away from you. As Salazar takes a strike.
And you run out of foul territory.
That's
right into the wall in this ballpark.
Well, we saw what Gary could do. We saw that little clip a while ago in that World Series last year against Baltimore. That's the right field. That should take Moreland to the line. Now he'll come in. 2 gone.
First time this ball game there's been back-to-back fly balls off of Trout.
There's DRAVECKY in the bullpen as Dick Williams thinking about the next man, the next spot. That is the pitcher spot. This is Templeton, bounced to second. His first time at bat, 1 ball and no strikes, 2 for 4 in the series. Right side, easy play for Sandberg, another ground ball out. And the side retired easily, 1-2-3, so we're halfway through. 4-1 Chicago. We'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station.
Yesterday in the American League Championship Series, Morris took them apart. Trammell took them downtown. Tigers 8, Royals 1. KC battles back tonight at 8 Eastern on ABC.
Ron Say will lead it off, and earlier I talked to him about the ballpark. It can be friendly. The fans can be friendly. The difference hitting in Wrigley Field as compared to Dodger Stadium.
Well, here it's a Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know if the wind's going to be blowing in, across, or out. Plus, the weather can change here with the summer thunder showers that we get. You don't know if it's going to be sunny or cloudy, so you just have to come out here every day and hope that that none of that stuff's going to bother you. I think the first year here, most of the time you spent contemplating what the weather was going to be like instead of concentrating on the game. But I think we've got people who can separate those things down.
And that man right there can certainly do that. 1 for 1 this afternoon. He's walked and doubled. Of course, the thing about Wrigley Field, the distance down the lines is one of the longest in the major leagues, and the power alley's one of the shortest. Of course, that's what power hitters like. That's a little bit low, and the count 2-0.
I know a few that wouldn't mind hitting here.
Oh. See the indentation in the ivy right there? That's where it starts to come back in. It's only 368 to the power alley and 400 to straightaway center field. But down the left field line, it's 355, and down the right field line, it's 353.
Well, I now think we may have had a little complaint on our ball strike call here.
Yeah,
I don't think Russ likes that call down.
Well, the pitch was close. Get to see it one more time. Say's going to look for a pitch he can drive out here. 2 balls and no strikes. It wasn't where he wanted it, but the pitch was inside. Yes, Say was right.
Had another good pitch and fouled it back.
How'd you feel about hitting with the wind blowing in and the wind blowing out, Reggie?
I did not like the wind blowing in. I know one of the first things I did, we take a look at Jim Fry, one of the first things I did when I woke up in the morning, whenever I was on the road in the hotel or at home, I wanted to look outside and see which way the flag was blowing, see what kind of attitude I was going to have when I got to the ballpark.
I never thought I'd hear you say that.
You were a pretty good hitter. How'd you feel?
Well, I'll tell you, I had pretty good success in this ballpark right here. You just had to do what I said yesterday, Earl. You had to keep the ball down. This was a good ballpark. It was a good ballpark to pitch in and also to hit in. A full count, 3-2. But I'll tell you, I'm like any hitter, Earl. I'd rather have the wind blowing out.
Oh, definitely. Makes you feel 100 pounds stronger.
That's it.
It's true, it sure does.
People used to scream and holler, they still do, about Candlestick Park in San Francisco, but I always felt, I said, if the hitters yell that much about it, there must be something wrong that gets them in the wrong frame of mind. I like it. High. Garvey over, foul territory, fighting the wind, and Steve stays with it. 1 away. Oh, former teammate to another. Well, the funny thing about, just a little history about this ballpark, and it is such a quaint ballpark. It was built in 1914 with a capacity of 14,000. It was then known as Wiggum Park, and it was then the home of the Chicago Whales of the old Federal League. And the cost of building the park was estimated at about $250,000. And at one time, they had like 450 men working on the project. As that pitch is inside to Jody Davis. But the first national game wasn't played at Wiggum Park until 1916 when the Federal League disbanded and the Cubs moved over here from the West Side grounds. That's a strike and the count 1-1. Then the park was officially changed to Wrigley Field in 1926 in honor of William Wrigley Jr., the club's owner. And renovations in the 20s and 30s increased the park to 37,000 plus. But it's really a fun ballpark.
Yes, it is. But, they could build some seats out there in left field and in the right field, over the left field fence and over the right field fence. They could put some more seats in.
Yes. Well, they've talked about lights in that here at Wrigley Field. But I'll tell you, there's an interesting story about that, and I'll tell you that just prior to the next hitter. The 3-1 pitch to Davis. Pops it up. The Breeze will get that. I'll tell you about that right now. Night baseball, the majors in 1935, that was at Crosley Field in Cincinnati. And really, this is true. Believe it or not, Wrigley Field almost had lights. But in 1941, owner Philip K. Wrigley, he bought the equipment, the bulbs, the towers, the wiring, and so on. But he sent it to the naval shipyards after the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Unbelievable.
High left field, but it's in the Breeze, knocking it down, and there is Martinez. There, what a difference a day makes.
I would say, that's the first ball that I could say, obviously, yesterday would have been a home run, and it's not a home run today.
I think Sandberg's would have been out yesterday.
You think so?
Yes, I feel that way.
That ball there was pretty obvious to me, Earl, because it was way up high. That's one I would know for sure.
Well, here's Leon Durham. You see 1 for 7 in the series, but I think that's very interesting about all the hoopla that's going on about the lights at Wrigley Field, and it might have been, had it not been for Pearl Harbor.
Got a great ballpark here, some great fans, and just the charisma of it all. It's something you just can't replace.
Well, if the Cubs should get in the World Series, I think it's a shame that there's not lights, because when I was a kid, and the World Series started 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, I was in school. I never got to see them, and it's going to be the same thing when they play their games in Chicago now during the World Series. The working man will not get to see all of the World Series games.
2 balls and a strike to Durham. There is Salazar, the Garvey, and a 3-up, 3-down inning. So through 5 here at Wrigley Field, it's 4-1, and the Cubs are on top.
If I'm playing a match on Wednesday, I take my Bic and shave down on this cheek. If it's a semifinal, I shave up. But if it's a month with an R, I take my Bic and go across. Except on Tuesday, of course, when I start on my chin. All this might give you the idea I'm superstitious. No way. It doesn't matter which Bic I use. Superstitious? Nah.
Superstitious or not, avoid all shavers with more than 3 letters.
I'm Peter Jennings. On ABC's World News tonight, we'll report on how the risk of a sudden heart attack should affect the way you exercise.
Well, yesterday, I think the baseball world was saddened. Everybody was saddened by the passing of former Dodger manager Walter Alston, and I, for one, had a chance to play with Walt my entire career for 14 years, and I think that I can speak on behalf of every player that ever played for Walt. And to Leela, his wife, and his family, our deepest sympathy, and our thoughts are with you at this particular time. And we just want to know he was a great man, and it was our privilege to be part of Walter Alston and the Los Angeles and the Brooklyn Dodgers. And also the passing, we understand, this afternoon, or yesterday, I should say, of a former great, Billy Goodman. And our thoughts also to Billy's family down in Sarasota. 2 great men, and baseball has lost them both. The 0-1 count, check that, the 1-1 count now to that is Ramirez leading it off. Mario Ramirez hitting 119.
We just saw Williams give the umpire a little something on that pitch.
Foul right side.
I don't want to sound like I keep beating the drum, Don and Earl, but it's got to be important here now. The Padres have got to get some offense going. They've got to get some momentum going. They've only got 3 base hits today.
And yesterday they only had 6.
Whether you call it good pitching or no offense, whatever you want to call it, it's got to happen for the Padres sooner or later.
Well, they're going to have to make it happen.
Bouncer third base side. Say right there from the grass to get him. One gone, and that will bring on Alan Wiggins, the leadoff hitter. Well, it's funny how things and how the tide can change. I can think back 2 very good instances in 1966 in the World Series with the Baltimore Orioles. We went in there. They had a young pitching staff, and we could not buy a run. We didn't hit nothing. As Wiggins takes a strike and the count 1-1. Then I can think back the year prior in the World Series in 1965. We went into Minnesota. We got beat the first 2 games, and all we wanted to do was get back home. And we got back home, and we won the next 3 in the series. Eventually won the series, but we just never got anything going against Baltimore. They swept us 4.
And in 1969, when I was managing Baltimore, we had an outstanding hitting ball club, and yet the Mets shut us down. We couldn't get anything going.
You know, Dunn, you get back here again. Alan Wiggins, 2 balls and a strike. He has not been on base yet. He scored 106 runs for the Padres. If he doesn't get on, they're not going to score.
Alan Wiggins is definitely a catalyst on this ball club. When he gets on, he can make things happen. And as you say, Reggie, they have shut him down. He was 0 for 4 yesterday with a double play, and 0 for 2 this afternoon with a double play. Going in, the count full 3-2.
What a beautiful changeup that was, even though it missed.
Dick Williams has always had his lineup surrounded by guys with speed. Bert Campaneris and Billy North in Oakland, Tim Raines and Rodney Scott in Montreal. Here he's got Wiggins and Gwynn, and only one of them have been on base in just 1 time.
And he walks him. So Wiggins, his first time on base in the series, and we'll see if that might start something.
Well, they're 3 runs down, but I know Dick Williams. He's not afraid to take a chance just to get something started.
That's about it. Well, it's an awfully nice luxury when you go out there, as Sutcliffe did yesterday, and Trout has done so far here today. He scattered 3 hits, 1 in the second, 1 in the third, 1 in the fourth, and never have to work out of a stretch.
No, very interesting question I want to ask you, Earl. Right now, you know, you want to maybe play it safe for a run because you haven't been scoring, or do you want to do something different and just try to be aggressive and steal a base? What do you do?
Well, I'm not Dick Williams, but I know Dick Williams, and I know that Dick will do it. Myself, I hadn't had a Wiggins on a club. I didn't ever have a guy that stole 70 bases. Bumbury, maybe I'd let him go. Paul Blair, possibly, because their base stealing percentage was good, but the percentage has to be in your favor.
So in other words, even though you haven't been scoring, you don't mind still being aggressive.
Right.
High chopper, Durham, look at that play. The bounces are still going to the Cubs.
Here we get it. The ball bounced down in that soft dirt that we called it earlier. Durham at the top of the top, as high as he can get. The stretch.
Exactly. You know, Earl, if that ball's on AstroTurf, that's a double or a triple?
Yes.
If that ball's on hard ground, that's a double.
Oh, I'll tell you, that was as high indeed as Leon Durham could get up the ladder. So Wiggins goes to second, and Steve Garvey will stand in. Durham has made 2 fine plays down there at first base this afternoon. One on the man standing at the plate in Garvey in the last time at bat. And that play right there off of the bat of Gwynn. Hard to left. That will drive in a run. Matthews almost handcuffed. Wiggins will score on the base hit by Garvey. It's a 4-2 ball game. And the Padre bench comes to life a little bit.
Well, they're back in the ball game.
Well, you see one of the old pros never giving up. Here's the pitch from Trout. There's a fastball down and out over the middle of the plate.
And I'll tell
Garvey
you,
does with it what you're supposed to.
Matthews did exactly right there. We can see him. He started to charge the ball, then he decided, let's keep that runner on first base. He backed up, played it on a big hop like he should, and kept the man from going in the scoring position in case it went by.
McReynolds to say the first at Sandberg, and Garvey's out at second. The side retired, but the Padres get a run closer. They pick up a run on a hit. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning of play. 4-2, the Cubs on top. Well, if you've wondered what it's like inside of a manually operated scoreboard, our colleague Tim McCarver's in there. And Timmy, reminder, we got a game tomorrow in San Diego, pal.
Well, you know, I've made my living behind the plate, and I often wondered what it was like from this end of it, and now I think I know.
Could you give the signs from there?
I can't even see people from here.
Well, we go to the bottom of the 6th inning. As Dave DRAVECKY is the new pitcher for the Padres. There's a little looper to right field by Boa. Coming on is Gwynn. Makes a catch. The breeze held it up for him.
That's a great running catch right there. They talk about this guy's hitting, but as Earl Weaver said earlier, he is also an outstanding defensive player. He keeps his eye on the ball. When the ball is below your knees, below the belt, you keep both the little fingers together to catch the ball. You see him put both hands together, both little fingers together. Bingo. I got you.
It's a good play. He was off with the crack of the bat.
And here is Steve Trout. DRAVECKY misses outside. Well, the Padres pick up a run in the 6th. They get a fine catch from Gwynn to start off the bottom of the 6th here. Wonder if that can make things turn as Garvey goes on through DRAVECKY. And there's 2 gone. Right now, we're going to pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
Channel 7 WLS-TV in Chicago.
Well, we're back here at Wrigley Field, the National League Championship Series in game number 2. That's the story. 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th inning. The Cubs on top by a score of 4-2. They picked up a run in the 1st. They got 2 in the 3rd. The Padres got a run in the 4th, and the Cubs picked up another run in the 4th to make it 4-1. Then the Padres scored in the top of the 6th, and that's where we stand as Bob Dernier stands in.
You know, a lot of people have said that Dave DRAVECKY has pitched as well as anybody on this ball club.
He's got good stuff. There's a strike in the count, 1-1. Dernier, well, I'll tell you one thing. You talk about catalyst. We're talking about Wiggins. What about Dernier?
He has done his job.
Whoa, 3 runs scored yesterday and 2 today.
Well, he set the tempo yesterday with that leadoff home run, Don.
Yes, sir. A reminder that the National League Championship Series, an ABC Sports exclusive, is being brought to you by Stroh's and Stroh's Light, proud sponsors of the Stroh's Run for Liberty.
Anytime you see a guy with 3 home runs hit a ball almost completely out of the ballpark, it lets the rest of the team know that they can do the same thing.
That's right. Hey, if he can get it that far, what can we do? That's hit hard and foul. Don Zimmer getting out of the way.
Talking about being a catalyst, he's been on base 6 of 8 times.
1 for 2 this afternoon with a pair of runs scored and a stolen base. And that good base running play in the very 1st inning, going from 1st to 3rd on a ground ball out to Salazar at 3rd. Jams him, fouls it away. The count 1-2.
DRAVECKY's throwing the ball good. He's only supposed to have an average fastball. They say he can jam right-handed hitters, and he just tried right there. He's got a good curve, he's got a good slider, and he's got a pound ball as a changeup.
He's got good stuff, Earl. I faced him in spring training. He throws the ball exceptionally well. He keeps it down, and he can run the ball back in on left-handers.
The count remains at a ball and 2 strikes. 2 outs, bottom of the 6th.
Okay, gentlemen, what about the umpires so far?
I tell you, the mark of good umpiring is when you don't notice them, and we have not noticed them, so they're doing a pretty good job.
Great comment.
Amen, Earl. That is perfect. Did he go around? Yes, he did. They missed the tag, and Dernier is gone. The Cubs are gone in the 6th inning. A 1-2-3 inning for DRAVECKY. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left. As you look at that half swing, check swing, we're through 6. The Cubs lead it by a score of 4-2. Well, we talked about all of the perches around the friendly confines. Now, if you go down that street where you see the 9 on that board, that is where Dave Kingman hit a ball. And that is about 3 houses down. Kingman, they measured it, about 550 feet down that street, completely out of the ballpark and down that street.
Let me tell you this, pal. 550 feet might be a little shy on that estimation.
That's right. That is on Kenmore Street, just off of Waveland. As Martinez sends a ground ball to Boa on the big hop. And there's one out on the top of the 7th. Another ground ball out. And that'll bring on the catcher, Terry Kennedy.
Well, you hate to take the bat out of your hitter's hands by putting on the take, but there are 2 runs down, and I'd like to see if I'm managing the ball club, I might like to see if Trout's going to get a little wild.
I always wondered about situations like that, Earl.
So does the manager, Reggie. He really don't know whether to put it on, or he don't know whether to let him swing. You hate to penalize your hitters.
I always wondered, because you never know, a guy all of a sudden might hit a ball out of the ballpark. Now you're only 1 run down.
Right. In the old days, the take was automatic when you were more than 1 run down. But baseball's changed. But just because of what you said, many guys can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and all of a sudden, 1 pitch, you're only 1 down.
High behind home plate. That'll be out of play. Coming back our way and just below us. You saw Craig Lefferts just a while ago down in that San Diego bullpen.
Well, the talk around the batting cage the first day in here yesterday was that they felt they were going to have to get some offense out of Terry Kennedy. He has not swung the bat well this year as he has the last couple of years, driving in only 57 runs this year, 90-some of the years before, and he has not been pulling the ball in this series here. He's got a couple of flyouts to left field.
Matter of fact, twice this afternoon, he's 0 for 2. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Kennedy.
And they've got one of their 20 home run hitters out of the lineup.
And Greg Nettles is on the bench today.
Up the middle. Easy play for Sandberg. On to Durham. There's 2 gone. Another ground ball out. And that will bring on Luis Salazar. Salazar has struck out and flied to right. There's Nettles down the dugout.
He's got 12 or 14 ground balls already.
Well, when Trout is right, that's high to right field. So he does not throw that many pitches. It's in the breeze, and Moreland will have an easy play. The Padres are gone 1, 2, 3. So we go to the bottom of the 7th inning with the Cubs leading at 4-2, and we'll be back with more baseball after this word from our local station. Stretch here at Wrigley Field, and of course you have always the man in the booth, and there he is, the one and only Harry Caray. Of course, in the bottom of the 7th inning, Ryne Sandberg will lead it off. It'll be Sandberg followed by Matthews and Moreland. DRAVECKY, the 3rd Padre pitcher of the afternoon.
If you hang around here long enough, they'll turn you into a Cub fan. They've got Cub mania, pal.
Oh, this town is unbelievable. There's right-hander George Frazier in the bullpen for the Cubs.
Well, we've got a ball game out at the old ballpark here.
Yep,
we do.
Well, the Padres are thinking one thing right now. They're just a base runner and one big swing away from tying it. It's 4-2. Sandberg 1 for 3 this afternoon. That's to the hole. Cup play for Templeton. Sets, throws, good arm. Does it get it? Oh, my.
I want to see this.
Here comes Dick Williams.
Well, he was on the bag. He was on the bag.
I say he's out.
What's the manager going to say in this situation? What can you say?
Earl, how can you say something like that? If you don't know, pal, no one does. Here's a hard ground ball hit by Sandberg into the hole. Templeton makes a great backhand play, sets himself, throws, gets rid of the ball quickly, and makes a great throw, a strong throw.
He's out, Reggie.
It looks like he was out.
I think he's out.
Yep.
We'll get it from another angle.
A great
We see Garvey on the bag.
And he is out.
The only thing I thought is maybe Garvey come off the bag, but we can see he's on the bag and he's out.
Too bad.
No, it'll go as an infield single for Sandberg, and here's Gary Matthews. The first hit off of DRAVECKY.
We might see a little hit and run here.
Matthews has bounced to short twice, and he has walked. High to the right side. Now it's in the breeze as GWYNN will make the play. One gone. And that'll bring on the right fielder, Keith Moreland. Sandberg at first, Garvey to hold. One out, one on. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning. And the Cubs on top, 4-2.
I was surprised Garvey didn't say something.
I was too. Moreland has doubled, he's singled and scored, and he's fly to right. Well, you got to keep an eye on Sandberg. He has 32 stolen bases.
And he's only been caught 7 times.
That's during the regular season.
That is an outstanding percentage, I'll tell you.
He'll be going. The report on DRAVECKY is he has an average move, and a lot of scouts think you can run on him.
There's a good fastball.
It's a little surprising right there to me. You saw Moreland try to turn on that ball. Although the ball was inside, that's the swing he had to take at it, I guess. But you saw him earlier take Mark Thurman to right field. Hit the ball very sharp to right field. It seems as though he would be trying to go to right field again as well.
And he's got that big hole over there this time with Garvey holding Sandberg.
Well, he'll usually try to go to right field after he gets behind the pitcher in the count. I think he'll take that good, strong swing first pitch or when he's ahead.
Good, they got him picked off. Garvey to Templeton. Now Templeton will run him back on a little crazy throw by Garvey. And that will do it. So Sandberg is out 1-3-6 away. Steve threw that just like nothing. All caution to the wind.
Well, Sandberg was guessing. He was going the minute DRAVECKY made a move. He didn't even try to get back. He was on his way. If the ball went to home plate, he had it stolen. If DRAVECKY went to first base, he's picked off. That's exactly what happened.
Well, there's a lot of times when you're going to steal a base, you just are committed and you're going to go and take off.
That's what happened there.
He got caught with his hand in the cookie jar that time.
That's it. A tough play for Wiggins, but he's there to make the catch, and the side is retired. The Cubs are gone in the 7th. We're through 7. 4-2, Chicago. Well, coming up shortly will be ABC's World News Tonight. Let's check in with Peter Jennings to see what stories we'll look at tonight.
Well, Don, we've been keeping half an eye on the game because one of the things we have to brace for on World News Tonight is an appearance by our commentator, George Will. I mentioned it first because he certainly qualifies as one of our planet's most devoted Cub fans. On a more serious note, we'll be reporting on the first active FBI agent ever to be arrested and charged with spying for the Soviet Union. And there's also a study in tomorrow's New England Journal of Medicine, which will interest a lot of people. It is on the benefits and dangers of exercise. And we'll have a report on that. Have a good game. Don?
Thank you, Peter. As we go to the top of the 8th inning, Gary Templeton leading it off as he has the count of ball and a strike. And Henry Cotto is your new left fielder for the Cubs.
And I can guarantee you that Templeton was taking the first 2 pitches, trying to get on base.
Now the Padres need 2 to tie. Kurt BEVACQUA down in the on-deck circle. He will hit for DRAVECKY. That's low, and there goes Davis. And
well, they got the big man up down there in the bullpen, so I'm sure it won't be long.
2-0 pitch was called a strike.
There's Smith down in the bullpen. Templeton has bounced to second twice, and here comes Jimmy Fry. He might have already seen enough, Earl.
No, I wouldn't think so. Not unless he can take a little time.
Well, I'm sure he's not going to hesitate, Earl, to bring the big guy in there.
Oh, no.
They've got the shadows creeping out there. Only needs 6 more outs.
And once again, you look at the Goodyear Blimp Enterprise overhead from Pompano Beach, Florida. The pilot is Captain Don Glaskanek from Randolph, Ohio. And a cameraman up there this afternoon, Charlie Mitchell. Boy, they've had some pretty shots. Well, Jimmy's heard what he wants to hear. He's satisfied.
Well, what he did was bought a little time there. Let his pitcher in the bullpen get warmed up. Trout's only thrown 69 pitches up to this point, so it's possible that he could go 9 if he stays out of trouble.
But he walks Templeton, and indeed, the Padres are 1 swing of the bat from making this a tie ball game. The second walk of the afternoon.
Well, Donnie, you know, they really don't hit a lot of home runs, so I'm sure they're not thinking home run right now. One of the guys that hits home runs for him, Greg Nettles, with 20 home runs on the bench. I'm sure as soon as we see Lee Smith, we might see Greg Nettles get a bat.
Well, you see BEVACQUA with only 1. See that number at Wrigley Field, 4 for 31. The Padres on the year during the regular season only hit 109. So what Dick Williams will try and do right here is try and get some of the rabbits running if he can.
Well, Earl, we get a little cat and mouse right now between managers.
It's getting to that point. We didn't have any managerial strategy in the game yesterday, but this one's leading to it.
Got it coming now, pal, huh?
There's the strike to BEVACQUA. You got Templeton at first with good speed. The Cubs on top 4-2. Deacon Jones down in that dugout. There's Jimmy Fry over in the Cub dugout. Threw that ball by him.
Trout has reached back and come up with some speed on the fastball.
It wasn't a strike.
He's back here. That ball is up in the strike zone. Throwing the ball 90 miles an hour in the 8th inning.
I knew he could.
Outside, the count 1-2. Dernier moves in a couple of steps as he looked at the flags in center field. They're blowing right straight in. Moreland straight away and right. Dernier fairly shallow center, with Cotto with good speed straight away and left. Chopper, and that'll be foul.
Mr. BEVACQUA is no stranger to pinch hitting, that's for sure. He has kept himself in the big leagues by pinch hitting. That's right. In the last 7, 8, 9 years, just as a part-time player. He's got 7 hits and 30 trips this time, and 1 home run has come as a pinch hitter.
And there's Big Goose in the bullpen.
Well, they got to hold him right there. They got to try and get within breathing range, and they are that right now.
I'll tell you what, they tie this ball game up the way the lights go here, and it gets a little bit dark. It'll be real interesting to see what happens with Lee Smith and Rich Gosses on the mound, both throwing the ball between 97 and 100 miles an hour. We might be here till next week trying to score.
That could be. Look at that stat on Kurt. Ranks 5th among active players with 75 career pinch hits.
I remember all those strikeouts in the All-Star game, if you can remember back when GWYNN and Valenzuela were striking everyone out. Well, it was twilight. I don't want to take anything away from them because they're both outstanding and great. But it's tough to see. You bring these 2 guys in, and it'll be tough to make contact, pal.
Right side, Sandberg could be 2. Noboa for 1. Back to Durham, the double play.
Chicago Cubs. Ron Sandberg right there.
No, I was very impressed the way Sandberg handled that ball, Earl. I mean, it hit his glove, and it was like a vice, like a trap.
Well, we see it again. BEVACQUA hit the ball hard.
Ball's hit sharp. Look at that. Bam.
Perfect double play ball. They had all the time in the world.
Textbook. Take pictures and run that one back. Package it and sell it.
How long can things keep going your way?
Here's Alan Wiggins, a leadoff hitter. He takes a strike.
I'm sure the Cubs are only hoping for another couple hours. Maybe a few minutes.
Bud and Trout will have a play. Turns the wrong way, throws wild. Down in the bullpen as it'll go way down the line as Wiggins goes to second base, and he'll hold right there. Steve had the play easy, and he turned the wrong way.
Well, no one was expecting that, and Wiggins doing everything he can do to keep everything alive and to get something started like a leadoff man should.
You take a look at it again, Earl. Wiggins trying to do anything to get on base. Trout goes after the ball, and being left-handed, turns the opposite way to try to set himself to throw. The ball gets away from him. Bingo. Runner on second base. Not a very good bunt. The ball is bunted hard. Back to the mound where Trout can field the ball, but he loses his footing as he tries to turn around because he's left-handed and make that throw to first base. Here we see it again. He falls down trying to set himself. Now, I wonder if he'd have been better off just completely doing a 360.
That's exactly right. He got on the ball in a hurry. The ball was bunted sharply enough. All he had to do was make a 360 and make a nice toss over to Durham. Here's Gwynn. That will take care of it, though, as Cotto is in left field. And that is three. So the Padres are turned away in the 8th. No runs, no hits in air. They leave a man. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. And the Cubs are on top of the Padres, 4-2. Well, indeed, that could possibly happen. One more for the road. They're trying to pick that up here this afternoon. And there's even some of the fans that are happy in the trees. And be sure to join ABC Sports next Monday night for another exciting game on Monday Night Football as Joe Montana leads the San Francisco 49ers against Phil Simms and the New York Giants live at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. New pitcher, Craig Lefferts. And there's a number of people on this San Diego ball club that really think that Craig could be the MVP of this team. Say takes a strike 0-1.
Well, he's another pitcher with what they call just an average fastball. His real good pitch is a screwball, especially to right-handed hitters. He can get right-handed hitters out.
See his numbers 3 and 4 on the year with a 2.13 ERA. He's the man that the Padres used to go to Gossage.
And when I played with the Yankees, they used Ron Davis in that position, and some players are absolutely outstanding at it. Here's the fellow that's done that for the Padres.
He really didn't make that Padre ball club until the last part of spring training, and he's done a whale of a job.
San Diego bullpen has looked good today.
They sure have.
Let's take a look at his motion, Don. You know, people wonder why a lot of players don't go into a full motion and that they use a stretch. Well, you usually see it in relievers because they're always coming into the ball game with men on base. And then, from my experience, when I talk to pitchers, it makes them have a little more control. They don't have as much to do. They have better control of their body. Consequently, they have better control of the strike zone.
That's to right center field. Playable. Gwynn to the alley. And it's out number 1. Well,
you take a look at his motion here. He doesn't go into a full windup. Doesn't have as much to do. He had problems earlier with his control. There you see the stretch, almost a half motion. Consequently, he's got better control of the strike zone.
Well, Lefferts, 27 years old, born in Munich, West Germany, now makes his home in Tucson, Arizona. Well, I think that all started, I think it all started years ago with the Yankees with Bob Turley. When they went into that no wind-up thing. Now you see more people, especially the relievers, coming out that way because that's the way they're used to coming into the ball game with men on base, and they stay in that little syndrome.
He's actually pitching from a stretch position.
Right. Jody Davis with a count 0-1. Shadows start to move out in front of home plate once again.
No, there was a fellow that showed so much, Fernando Valenzuela, when he pitched and went toward home, he looked up at the sky. Lefferts looks toward the ground and does it every time.
Count 2 balls and a strike to Davis with Leon Durham on deck.
Well, some players have funny little things that they do to try to keep the ball down. I know John Curtis on our ball club wore his socks slow to remind him to keep the ball down.
Foul right side. 2-2 the count.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lefferts does that just to remind him of something.
It very well could.
Jim Fry there, he's got some anxious moments. 3 big outs ahead of him.
Building all around Wrigley Field. To left field. That's off the end of the bat. Martinez is there. 2 gone.
That one would not have been gone yesterday.
No.
Okay, you win, Earl.
I'd have got back to the warning track, though. Who knows?
One thing I'll say about you, Earl, is you never let the home run die. You are a man that's in love with the home run, which means I know I could have played for you for a long time.
Here's Leon Durham, 0 for 3 this afternoon. But he's made a couple of sparkling plays at first base that have really been what you might say could have been key outs in this ball game.
True, true.
The high hopper definitely was a key out. That's first and third if it gets over his head.
The same way with the play on Garvey.
2 balls and no strikes. Garvey's ball in the 4th and GWYNN's ball in the 6th. If you're looking to the Padre 9th, and you will have that coming up, Garvey will go to the bag. It'll be Garvey, McReynolds, and Martinez. So we are through 8 from Wrigley Field, with the Cubs leading it by a score of 4-2. And we'll be back after this message and a word from our local station.
On Monday Night Football, the undefeated San Francisco 49ers, led by Joe Montana, clash with Lawrence Taylor and the New York Giants, starting at 9 Eastern on ABC.
I am here with Governor Jim Thompson, the governor of Illinois. Why no friendly wager with Governor Duke Magian in California?
Well, I made the offer. I bet him a day of salmon fishing on Lake Michigan, but I think he probably knows that the Cubs are going to do it, and I think he probably doesn't want to admit that there's great fishing anywhere but California. So I'll try again when I get out there tonight.
I suppose a lot of hooks in the 9th inning. Back to the booth with Don Drysdale.
All right, Timmy, thank you, and thank you, Governor, as Garvey takes a strike to the roar of the crowd. That is only the 79th pitch of the ball game thrown by Trout. Trout traded from the White Sox, and Dallas Green told Billy Connors, "This is your project." And indeed, he's made that quite a project. Connors then spoke to Jack Ty, who said Steve had a great arm just like his dad, Dizzy. If he likes you, he'll run through the wall. Well, evidently, there must be an admiration society there somewhere.
Over the last 2 winters, Don, Steve Trout has been to Florida to see Billy Connors in the offseason.
Well, he's learned to pitch. With the White Sox, he was more of a thrower.
Right catch for Trout. To Durham, 1 goal. And that'll bring on Kevin McReynolds.
You know how I like to see my pitcher grab the ball, run to first base, and give that first baseman that easy throw rather than to do anything else.
How about the first out of every inning, Earl?
Oh, that's a big one with a 2-run lead.
Yes, sir. Here's Kevin McReynolds. Bounces short in a line drive. Sacrifice fly was out of fielder's choice.
Well, Billy Connors told Steve Trout that if you don't mature with your attitude, then you're just going to be a fringe guy and go from club to club.
1 ball and no strikes. Don't forget Game 2 of the American League Championship playoffs coming up tonight from Royal Stadium. The Tigers and the Royals. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern, and we will be back with you tomorrow night from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. Game 3 of these National League Championship Series. That'll be 8 o'clock Eastern.
No, I can tell you as a ball player, when the crowd gets going and all the adrenaline gets pumping, it certainly does help a ball player. I'm sure that it's going to help Steve Trout here in this 9th inning.
Well, Jody Davis just ran out and told Trout, don't get fined now. We cannot get hurt until a man gets on base.
That's outside. 3-1 the count.
Sometimes the harder you want to throw a strike, the harder it becomes.
Well, I'm sure he's excited right now.
Time call. That's high, but time was called.
Oh, my, oh, my.
Time was called.
Third base umpire called time, and Boa spotted it, and so did Jody Davis. We might be back to a 3-1 count and nobody on base.
That's exactly what it is.
You're going to get a rhubarb here.
Instead of the tying run coming to the plate, there was no pitch.
I'm kind of waiting for Dick Williams to come out of that dugout.
Well, he called it in
time.
I think Dick saw him call it, too. He's looking right out there at him.
Well, we know Dick saw him call it, or he'd be out there. Another break. for the Chicago Cubs.
Yes, it was.
Possible break. It will depend on what Trout does right here.
He walks him anyway. So McReynolds is aboard, and that'll bring on Martinez.
Now you look from one dugout and you look to the other one because you look for Jim Fry.
He's not going to hesitate.
And you're going to see Jim Fry. And you've got the big right-hander Lee Smith in the bullpen. Trout did not throw that last ball well at all.
Seemed to aim it.
And they won't even have a conversation, so they'll have a pitching change with a break in the action. 1 out, top of the 9th. The tying run at the plate, 4-2 Chicago. Now there's an anxious Sandra Trout right now, hoping that the big man on the mound, Lee Smith, can do what he's done so well all year long and pick up a victory for her husband here this afternoon. You see Lee, 69 appearances on the regular season, 33 saves, a record of 9-7 and a 3.65 ERA. So we have another switch. Davey Lopes has moved into play right field. So you might have a little double switch right here.
Well, the manager's already got his mind made up before that inning starts. I'm sure Jim Fry had his mind made up. If a man got on, he was going to make the move. That way you're not going to be indecisive. You know exactly what you're going to do, and it didn't take Fry long to get out of the dugout.
It'll be Martinez, the scheduled hitter, with Kennedy on deck. That's the story. There's 1 out, 1 on. And we're in the top of the 9th inning. The Cubs on top by 2. The tying run at the plate in Martinez, a young man that was in the Cub organization, moving over to the Padres in the deal this spring. As you see, Martinez 1 for 3 this afternoon. He singled his first time at bat up the middle, but after that, he has grounded twice to Boa, and that is what he doesn't want right here.
You know, I will say that the San Diego Padres have had their chances today, Don. They have not gotten a base hit in order to break the Camel's back, but they have certainly had their opportunities.
On that outside corner, 0-1.
And there won't be any mystery about what Smith is going to try to do. He's going to try to overpower him. The pitch was 97 miles an hour.
They've had him clocked at over 100 miles an hour this year in San Francisco, or else I'm sure that Mr. Martinez is geared and ready.
Pops him up foul. That'll be out of play and just below us. So the count very quickly is 0-2. You talk about 97, and that one was 99, going in and out of the shadows. How do you like that?
I tell you, there are not very many pitchers in all of baseball that throw any harder than that. If there are, then I haven't heard very much about it.
And yet Martinez, to me, looked like he had that bat around it. You know, didn't miss it by much.
I know Jack Morris was up around 96, 97 last night, and Gossage and Ryan can get up there, but you're not going to see much harder than this guy's throwing.
Well, Durham is holding a runner on, and I don't see much sense in that.
Just outside as the crowd comes to their feet. So they do a little wishful umpiring here.
Look at that ball go in and out of the sunlight, and I mean just missed it. 100 miles an hour. This man is 6'6".
Got him on a breaking pitch.
That's almost impossible to hit that ball right there. You've got to gear up to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and if he throws you a curveball or anything off speed, you just have to hope that you either don't swing or it's so far outside that it's not a strike. But that ball happened to be on the plate and was a strike as well.
On the corner, knee high.
Oh, my.
Now here's Terry Kennedy. 0 for 3 this afternoon.
They're on their feet here, Don.
They're ready, and they're geared and poised. Down low. Whoa, a low strike and a late call. 0-1 the count.
That was not a good pitch.
Look at this call. Watch for his right hand.
A little closer than I thought, but I still think it was low out of the strike zone.
He still hasn't called it yet.
And now Durham is way back at first base.
100 miles an hour.
Out of play left side.
got him in a hole, a ball and 2 strikes, and I'm sure that Terry Kennedy is aware of the breaking ball that Lee Smith has. I'll tell you, as a hitter, you can forget the breaking ball. They're on their feet and they're screaming, Don.
Oh, I'll tell you, they're ready to go. They want their Cubs to go out to San Diego 2-0. They'll take their chances from there. To left field, hit well, going back Cotto to the wall, but he'll have the play and makes the catch. So the congratulations for Lee Smith as he saves it for Steve Trout, who pitched a whale of a ball game. It sent Cotto to the wall as the Cubs jump out to a commanding lead in the second game of the series. The Cubs 4, the Padres 2. So the crowd still on their feet. They refuse to go. And once again, the final score, the Cubs 4, the Padres 2. Be sure to join ABC Sports later tonight for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series as the Kansas City Royals host the Detroit Tigers live at 8 o'clock Eastern Time from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. And tomorrow at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, it's Game 3 of the National League Championship Series as the Cubs try for a sweep at the series. It'll move to Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego, California. The executive producer for ABC Sports is Roone Arledge. Coverage of today's game was produced by Dennis Lewin, directed by Ken Fouts, technical director Mike Blazo, associate director Jimmy Roberts. Stay tuned for ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Chevrolet. Drive today's Chevy, live today's Chevy. By Stroh's and Stroh's Light, proud sponsors of the Stroh's Run for Liberty. By Prestone 2 Antifreeze, America goes with Prestone. And by RCA, creators of video technology that excites the senses. Blimp provided by Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Travel arrangements made through and a promotional fee paid by United Airlines. You're not just flying, you're flying the friendly skies. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, and we'll be back to talk with some of the Cubs right after these words.
We're with manager Jimmy Fry on the field, and Jimmy, this appears to be a replica of Sunday afternoon after the last game of the season. Nobody's leaving.
That's exactly right. Nobody's left. They're all waiting for him to come out. I don't think they're going to come out yet. We got a big hill to climb yet, Timmy. We got one more game to win. We win one more game, we'll have a lot of chances to do some celebrating.
You obviously remember back in 1982 when California won their first 2 games at home and went to Milwaukee and lost 3 in a row.
And some others. I can remember some World Series where we thought we had people buried and they come back to beat us. So until you get that last out, you ought not to be celebrating.
And the same rotation is going to stand pat for San Diego?
I'm going to go with Eckersley, probably Sanderson in the 4th game now.
No thoughts of coming back with Sutcliffe in Game 4?
Well, I don't have to be specific now, so I'm going to hedge a little bit. We'll see how it goes.
And we'll see how it goes back with Don Drysdale in the booth. Donald?
Thank you very much, Timmy. And right here with me is Richie Phillips, of course, the representative for the Major League umpires. And Richie, can you tell us what is happening so far?
Well, I had a 3-hour meeting with Bobby Brown last night, the president of the American League, and this afternoon, right after the ball game, I'm going to be meeting with Chub Feeney. I'm making every effort that I can to try to bring this thing to the ultimate resolution. I need some cooperation from the baseball people. And I think that at some time they're going to come to a realization of the contribution that the umpires make to the game, and they'll compensate them accordingly, Don.
I think the biggest story that we have heard down on the field from the players is, why did they wait this long? How could this happen?
I don't know why they've waited this long. I think they're stonewalling us to give a message to the players because they've got the player negotiations coming up this year. They're very concerned about it. They just negotiated the $200 million a year TV package. The players are looking for 1/3 of that, and they realize they've got a big battle ahead, and they want to show the players how firm and tough they are.
In other words, you think this is a showcase to the players that they will be firm here and it will not have any effect, they will not cowtail, you might say, to them on their negotiations.
There's no question about that, Don. They feel as though if they capitulate to the umpires, it's going to be a signal to the players that they're wide open for the players that come after them hard. I think if they can show that they're going to stonewall us here, they give a message to the players that they're going to be tough in the negotiations next year.
Well, Richie, good luck in your negotiations. We hope you get it settled very quickly.
I hope so too, Don. I'd like to see our guys get back out there umpiring. I'd like to see quality baseball. The American fans deserve it.
Thank you very much. Right now, let's go back down to Tim McCarver.
Don Drysdale, before this interview started, Steve Trout told me that it could have been better today. How in the world could you have pitched any better?
Well, I wanted to go 9. I wanted to go the distance because it means something to me right now, but I was not pitching aggressively in the 9th. I was aiming the ball, and I just couldn't throw it for a strike. I think Jody was trying to get me to stay tucked, and I thought my mechanics were real good, but I wasn't aggressive. I was trying to spot the ball too much, and I think I got a little out of my game plan, what I was doing for 8 solid innings, and I was aiming the ball, and, you know, I just couldn't throw a strike.
Why did it mean that much more to you to have a complete game today?
Well, because I didn't pitch that many complete games last year, and it's important for me to stay out there for the duration of the game because I've trained real hard for everything, and I know that I can go it. And this is something special because I had a lot of friends in stands.
And, of course, I guess you did what you wanted to today by keeping the ball in play on the ground. You only struck out 2, but you only walked 2 also, but you made the Padres put the ball in play on the ground.
Yeah, the walk to Wiggins, it really hurt me, and he ended up scoring, and that's going to be the case most of the time. But my game is just to let him hit ground balls and let Rhino, and hopefully they hit it to somebody. You know, I've had games where they've hit the plate and bounced up, and I've let a few runs in. But basically, I'm taking my chances with my ground ball, and hopefully they hit it to somebody. And with Rhino and Boa playing up the middle, you know, those 2 guys are extremely defensive players, and along with their offense. But still, I got to take my chances with that.
Steve Trout took his chances today in an 8 1/3 inning, striking out 2. And allowing only 2 runs as the Cubs beat the Padres 4-2. Now let's go back up to the booth to Don Drysdale.
Well, thank you very much, Timmy. And, of course, when you look at this crowd, and if you've witnessed any of these crowds around Wrigley Field throughout the course of the year, you will notice that they just don't leave. They stay, they linger, they enjoy, they savor. It's been 39 years since they've had a chance to do anything. As a matter of fact, it was really almost 39 years to the day that they picked up their first victory, and that was in the 1945 series against the Detroit Tigers. So you've got to know that, guys. Earl and Reggie, you've got to appreciate that fact.
Well, I certainly can appreciate what Steve Trout is talking about. He was talking so fast and trying to get so many things in because he's just surely excited the way this crowd has been reacted, the way the Cubs have played. And it shows when he starts to talk, he's just trying to say 4 or 5 things at one time. That's because they're winning.
Well, he did a tremendous job on the mound today. I don't know how he could expect to have pitched any better. I thought he pitched an outstanding ball game. He stayed within his game plan. A couple times during the ball game, we saw him start to overthrow, but regained his composure, kept the ball down. Again, I say that the man throws over 90 miles an hour. He can go by some hitters up when he's pitching well, and he did today.
You know, when he was in the American League, he threw just as hard as he did today, 94, 95 miles an hour once in a while, but he would get flustered. He would lose control. They say since he has gotten married, since he has talked to the new pitching coach here, Billy Connors, he's been down to Florida a couple times to get his game together. I saw today that he does have his pitching game together.
Well, don't forget, he did indeed have that game together, but tonight it'll be game 2 of the American League Championship Series from Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. It'll be the Tigers and, of course, the Kansas City Royals. And don't forget, tomorrow night will be coming your way 8 o'clock Eastern. Tonight is 8 Eastern. Tomorrow 8 Eastern with the National League Championship Series. That is game 3, and the Cubs, of course, will be trying to close it out right there. But I've just got a gut feeling that the Padres, when they get back home in their own ballpark and they get their own fans behind them, as we've witnessed here this afternoon, they're going to have some things to say. I think they're not going to just roll over. It will not be that easy.
I certainly agree with you, Don. You know, when a lot of the Cub hitters leave this particular ballpark here in Wrigley Field, they're not quite the same. Leon Durham, a man with 23 home runs, hit 19 here and hit 326 here, hit only 228 on the road.
Well, it's going to make a difference. Now I think we'll be seeing Eric Shaw in the 4th game. If there is a 4th game Saturday, Fry hedged a little bit. he's got a little something to play with, and he can afford to give Sutcliffe that little extra day.
Well, don't forget to stay tuned for tonight's game, the Royals and the Tigers from Kansas City. For Reggie and Earl and Tim, I'm Don Drysdale saying good afternoon from Chicago.